So we're going to illustrate why the marginal cost curve is basically the supply curve in the short run for the firm. So we start out with the graph that we've all become familiar with by now. And here's our marginal cost curve. And then let's also put in our other cost function graphs. Alright, so of course this is what our graph starts out looking like, and so currently if we were going to figure out what level of output we were going to produce, we would be producing right here, right? So that is the quantity that we would supply based on our demand curve being where it is. But let's say that something happens in the overall market that causes the price to rise. Well, we know that that would mean that our demand curve would shift up, like so. Right? So that would become our new demand curve, which means the new quantity we would be producing would be the new point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which is right here. So we would be increasing the quantity that we produce. Again, let's say the price rises again. We know that again, the demand curve would shift up like so. We would find the new point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which is right here, which would cause us to alter the quantity we produce to this new point. So notice what we're doing is with each point, which illustrates the quantity we're going to supply, we connect those dots to get our supply curve. You see all we are doing is graphing our marginal cost curve. So the same thing would happen if the price of the product went down. In other words, if the price of the product went down, then we would still be producing where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, finding the point where the two curves intersect. So in this case, it would be right there. And again, we would continue to connect the dots down here. So again, we continue to graph our supply curve, which again is just our marginal cost curve. Now, at some point, let's say that the price fell even further. Let's say it fell all the way down here. Well, now the point at which our marginal revenue intersects marginal cost is down here. But notice that that is below our average variable costs. And we know that our average variable cost is our shutdown price. Therefore, we would never produce below the point at which our marginal cost curve intersects the average variable cost curve, because that is our shutdown price. Therefore, if you were graphing your supply curve, you would be graphing your marginal cost curve all the way down until you hit your average variable cost curve. And then everything below that point, I'll go ahead and erase it here for you to see, would never ever be supplied because that is below the shutdown price. So if you were doing a problem where you were asked to graph the firm's supply curve, you basically would just graph the marginal cost curve until you reach the average variable cost function, because that is your shutdown price, and you know that the firm will never produce at any price level below the average variable costs.